Recording in progress. Did your birthday tonight? You did it again, great. Hello.
Oh, God.
You made it?
Pardon?
You made it, huh?
He's dead.
Oh.
Jess's, and he's dead on her birthday.
Oh, God.
I mean, we were, years ago, one of our kids died on her birthday, but we brought him back. So
Oh, my
now
God.
she's,
This is her dad?
yeah, I mean, it's,
How old is he?
how old's my dad? He's probably 72,
Gosh, yeah.
but he had all the heart,
Oh.
the diabetes, the transplants, and
Oh.
it was good she went down there.
Oh, did she go down? Oh, good.
Saw him a week ago, so
Yeah.
couple weeks ago.
Right.
So that was good. So does it matter, Roy?
What that?
This is the new toy.
Well, yes, we're not sure it's gonna work. It's the first little tryout here. It doesn't seem to do anything, but we're not in the meeting. I think it'll do stuff when we get in the meeting.
So it's moving around.
I think, okay, I think so. We'll see. Oh, the camera's going around.
It looks like a little face.
Wow.
Maybe I'll sit here and isn't it, this is.
No, that's Gail
the
stuff.
paper.
Yeah, that's-
Gail sits there, I'll move.
I don't know, Gail, is Gail with you? Maybe she just left that. She may not be back. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Maybe
I'm not
she did,
sure. Not
Does
sure.
it matter?
No, no. I don't know where the Selectboard wants to sit up front, on the side, anywhere.
I guess so.
I'll wait till
Why
they
don't you
get
guys,
settled.
why don't you Selectboard sit at that table up there? That way you're the head of,
Here.
you're the head of the table.
Jess's dad died,
Oh, really?
and today's her birthday.
I know it's a birthday.
Here.
Yeah. The bases are meeting in the library, so.
I saw that.
Yeah, we can meet. in- Yeah, we have office. Oh, excuse me, I'm gonna drink my tea. How was your meeting, Levi? Did you go to the thing?
Sorry,
How was your meeting with AT&T?
I didn't get to it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, it was fun. I
I mean,
mean,
you know what's going on and.
yeah, I have a feeling it's Bobby's land.
Oh.
And Frank seems to think that the property line is the fence line of the cemetery.
Of the cemetery.
And so there's an easement that the previous owner of the Creeper property had given.
So like here, you go there.
So
That's a cop.
I'll get it all.
Yeah, and, so I wasn't able to search for that paperwork, but I know the page, because I know Daryl had, sent the, so I remember we paid for that insurance. Hello.
Hi. Stay.
Whatever you like. I think probably leave these seats for other select board members. So you can sit over at that table if you want.
Maybe I'll put it behind us.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi. I'm Elizabeth. I'm down north.
Oh, nice to meet you. Where did Mary Ellen go? I wonder?
and we shouldn't do a good enough job. So.
That's probably not.
Or maybe we should sit on that. Let's see.
Yeah.
We'll just turn around, we get a call.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll still work. We change stuff around. You can sit up here. You can sit up here if you want to. We have plenty of room. We may not have many people sitting back here anyway.
Yeah.
Where's Mary Ellen?
She's coming. No, I parked up at the cemetery, so I walked back up that way and came up. And they walked with Rick and Bobby, so I'm sure that there's some.
So,
Here's Marianne. So Marianne.
yeah.
Yes. That's kind of.
Get it done soon. Because it's gonna be done here. Also, they're gonna have their more restrictions.
Yeah. They're gonna be. You know, this whole push for vaccination, under the reason that they're pushing is just eroding confidence. And on top of it.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping that prior to the play out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that's how it's done. Yeah, yeah.
Yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I also,
That's right.
and I have some copies of the agenda that might be stuff on the right. I think so.
Yeah.
And I never see there's an email response, and I can like so professional and so like I've done research. I've looked into it.
Well, sir.
Like,
Good enough.
I'm excited, yeah.
And next up, the agenda is.
I've been that sign sheet. She's got it.
Is this? Oh, this is the agenda. Paperwork, oh, Mary Ann, sorry, not make it over there.
Okay, do you want this to go around or back here? Right, it should go to people, more people would come. Or, you know.
I can get it from, use some software and then I'll pay for it.
What's your argument? in
So
official
you're going
capacity?
to give me,
What is your, what is
and then
your?
you're saying you're under 18, so
I'm
you
sorry,
are
the
unable
public
to.
or
use
I'm
every
allowed.
exemption.
Yeah.
Charge. Yeah,
Everything okay?
no, he's gone. Yeah, and it's just. Or-
There's no red.
There's a, I see that.
Yes, that's weird. He wants to stay on schedule.
Where is he? Is he here?
He's in
I
Boston.
think he was.
Yeah, so we'll get there. We'll get there sometimes. She's on the phone, it's all over.
You sign this.
Well, we got it. We're, she's figuring out.
And Mark's not coming?
I don't know. I had no idea.
So the link.
Catherine and I thought that it wouldn't really work.
It looks like that.
Catherine and I thought it wouldn't work
This on over there, talk to the
unless we're
guy.
in the meeting. But it's moving.
And we're not in
on.
the meeting yet, and I don't know, Kate gonna let us into the meeting? That's how it usually goes, right?
Yeah, she should.
Well, she's not coming.
She's not coming to the meeting here, but
What did
she
say
had
she's
the,
not?
Well, how are you on the?
She's
how are you
unable
on?
to.
well, because I clicked on.
Oh, but so you're the administrator.
No, Kate is.
Yeah, but are you doing it?
I'm not doing anything, I just opened up the meeting, and when somebody calls in, we haven't had anybody come on to Zoom yet, I'm here, you know what I mean?
So Phyllis, you didn't initiate the meeting, Kate's initiating
yeah.
it from somewhere else?
Oh, yes, it's always does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people can call in or go through it on
So
the,
Kate's attending, but she's just attending.
I don't know.
But she has to attend, but she's on that.
Well, she's gotta be on the computer.
Well,
Well,
I don't know, I'm not sure how that all works also.
okay, well, there's the one. Let's take a picture of this. We're going to down.
I was gonna unmute before.
Well, this is always looking at us, Jeff. so
Yeah, but it's
They
weird.
get a little nervous.
But just so you all know, she said she's not able to, I will ask, since she's not able to discuss town business. And it's gonna be less frequent.
Well, thanks for listening. I got a call from John Alexander, what's really great, and Greg Barrett, and I don't know if.
Are you talking about the ATV?
Yeah, did you hear from anybody else?
Yes, I got the emails from them. I did,
Okay.
I was gonna share that at the, when it's ATV time.
Good.
Yep, ATV, here we are.
And, John, so you know, John Alexander left me a message on the phone, so his is the only one I know so far that didn't come through your email.
Okay, I've got 6 that emailed.
Okay, and not John?
No,
No, okay, so that's,
4 PM though was the last time I checked.
I just had a message on the phone, my phone when I got home from work today, so I don't know actually, let's check to see when it was from. Apparently yours it has, because it said has, I don't know that in here.
Is that says?
Oh.
Now we're on you.
He
Yes.
is the administrator that I made the link with.
Mhm. Bill Smith.
You're welcome,
Bulldog,
Joy.
Yeah, so the Zoom must be,
Who else is up there?
Bulldog and, Bill Smith,
so she must have let that in, right?
must be,
I mean,
must be.
Okay, Bill Smith, we're gonna add that to the agenda. He wants a village room request.
Is he coming?
No, he gave it to me and then he said he's gonna send it.
Well, the village green request, as long as nobody has an objection.
Right,
We
we
don't
scheduled
need
that
action.
long too,
Yeah.
oh, it would be good to.
as long as there's no, any confusion,
Oh, well.
I mean, no conflict.
Somebody who's keeping that schedule, Mary Ann, just, she doesn't know yet.
What do you mean? I can keep it, but
There's something, no conflict, so if somebody requests it, we don't get the conflict before, you know. Right.
You gotta be the schedule.
Yeah.
it's
calendar
Gail,
and app or
Gail,
All right, so, I actually,
do I have to say that in the treasurer?
Not just bring some lights.
no, but I need to talk about this.
Oh, hearts and it.
Now, does this have to be done right now?
No, but Gail, when she does her treasurer thing, I'm supposed to give you that paper to sign.
Yeah, but I can't sign it because
Okay,
I figured something out based on some questions that, the other folks had about the time and stuff.
Mary Ellen.
Yeah. We gotta do more.
But we haven't
Yes,
even
I have
recorded.
it.
Well. recording. Good.
We're on. All right, we'll get in a minute.
I know, trying to tell me something, but honestly. Good for your mind.
I think Tracy's too.
With
Tracy's
Mark?
signing, I think, yeah. No, not his house, I doubt that.
I know that.
She's supposed to, I think she mentioned she's gonna add. Because that's gonna be my additions to the agenda.
That one?
It's Mark Walker.
He wants evacuation.
Oh, yeah.
We'll make that a addition. We won't put it on there.
Oh, it's not on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, you know,
So Mary Ann, why don't we put
Zoom notification.
the school request under you? So we'll mention it when
Okay,
we start the meeting, then we'll cover it under your administrative assistant.
okay.
All right, so we've got a forum. All right, so what's that?
Yeah, I got a Zoom notification. I just wanted to
What's that? All right, so I'll call the meeting to order, 19:30. All right, do we have any conflicts of interest to disclose? All right. We have changes to the agenda. I'll say one thing right now. We have a school request and we're gonna cover that under the administrative assistant report, Mary Ann. Right, are there any other additions to the agenda?
Could we move the library to be first?
We can move the library, the library, town employee insurance, Phyllis, we can put you up.
Okay.
To, right after we get all those appointments done. Might take a while.
Yeah.
Do we have any other additions or changes to the agenda?
I wonder if
Well,
you can hear it.
The Roberts School field request, I'd like to change it to a use of Village Green's request. But it would still be under the same section there.
All right.
So you don't have a lot of schools.
Nope.
All right. Could someone online say something so we could know that you're hearing us and we can hear you?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, and I was wondering if you got my request for the use of the North Common. This is Bill Smith.
Yes, we did. Sorry, I'm supposed to say that.
I can hear the select board.
Thank you. All right, Mark.
Yes, we can hear.
Thank you. So we're all set. Mark, you have any comments? All right, we're at the changes to the agenda. Please. Agenda. All right, thanks, Mark.
How much you want?
Okay, so now we'll open the floor to public comment. Who's gonna point to people online? or do that?
After this in the house and they can raise their hand.
Okay, the
Does
reason.
anyone have any public comments on Zoom?
Bill has a family.
Most guys hand up.
Request. All right, anyone in the town hall have any public comments? All right, so we'll move on from the public comments. Is there a motion to approve the minutes for 17 August? Jeff has moved to approve minutes for 17 August. Is there a second?
Second.
Mary Ellen is seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, let's vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye, please. Aye. Aye. All right, that motion passes. The minutes are approved. Appointments. Do we have any volunteers who are interested in being fence viewer? All right, inspector, lumber, shingles and wood. We're full. All right, we don't have any appointments there. All right, so let's go into our let's go to the library first. So Phyllis, you're up.
Okay, I thought Megan was gonna be here, but maybe she's not.
I am here, Phyllis.
Oh, okay, why don't you start then, Megan?
So can you hear me or am I cutting out?
We can turn this down a little bit if you want to.
No, leave it like this. It's good.
All right, if it's difficult to hear me, I can join you in 2 minutes. So just let me know.
Go ahead.
So the library is on the brink of hiring a new librarian. We are very excited. We are negotiating with a candidate who is very qualified. And as we might expect from a qualified candidate, she's asking a lot of good questions about the benefits package, which has required us to re-examine the personnel policies related to library employees. And in examining those policies, it appears that under the town's policies, our library director would be entitled to both health insurance and retirement based on the number of hours that she works in the library. That is an unplanned for expense for the library because we have not paid benefits in the form of health insurance or retirement prior librarians, and so it has not been budgeted. In talking to Phyllis, the library would have the capability of covering this in the interim until we get next year's budget submitted. But we wanted to be clear with the town that there will be a substantial increase in our expenses because we will now be paying benefits to the librarian going forward. In addition, we still need clarity from the town about what the retirement package will be for that librarian. And so we would ask for that clarity both in the short term and whether that employee would be offered retirement under VEMR's, the Vermont Municipal Employee Retirement System, if the town is approved. In addition, looking at the personnel policies, we've discovered that there are portions of the policy that are in conflict with library policies, and we would ask to be involved in any future rewrite of the personnel policy by the town to harmonize it with the library's policies.
All right, is that it, Megan?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
I think there might be a delay. So I can answer some of that regarding the insurance, the retirement plan. So presently, town employees, let's just exclude the road for right now, because that's a recent event. But presently, the town employees participate in that New York Life simple IRA plan. So that's the present setup for town employees. At a few select boards ago, we had received a lot of feedback, or we received a lot of feedback over years about town employees being able to enroll in the state employee retirement system. We explored that. We got feedback from the people who asked for that, and we opted in for limited number of employees who were interested in that, and that turned out to be the road crew and another town employee who was half road crew, half
Water, sewer, and highway employees, basically.
yes, thank you, Marilyn. So water, sewer, and highway. So that's the status of that right there. So we've not been, so the state has to allow us that we make an application, and then the state allows us to enter into VEMR's or not. So it still has to be approved. What we did also was, since we did not budget for that option, what we did was we voted as a board to enter into that system after the next year's budget. So those employees who will have the option to enter into it will not do it until the next year's budget.
And would the town grant the library director the ability to join that limited number of employees who want to join VEMR's?
We have to vote to extend it. When we voted on that motion, we voted to consider additional employees in the future. Based on who's interested now, we limited it to those roles more than individual people, just employees of the highway department and water and sewer department. We didn't name individuals. So if we wanted to have a librarian or a town clerk or a treasurer or not some other position, we would, the select board would have to vote to add them as a group.
Yeah.
So it's not, we'd have to take action in order for that to happen. And I think the schedule was by September 30th, we have to have our decision so that the Beamer's board can make a decision whether in or out by January 30th. And then the plan becomes effective April 1st.
Yeah, so the deadline for Beamer's to take action would be
April
April
30th.
30th.
Yeah. So we have until September. To get our ducks in a row. To get it to the Beamer's board for their consideration.
On, September. Okay.
You can make a request and we can put it on the agenda.
Yeah.
It's always good to allow us to have time
Okay,
to.
well, we'll get it on the agenda then for next meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
1 week from today, so.
That would be great.
Thanks,
And I would
Bill.
just also ask, the VEMR's policy includes a definition of employee that includes librarians. So she may have an entitlement to that insurance if she wants it. Just that's something to look into further.
I think she means that she's entitled to it.
But-
Some, you can't offer it to some employees and not others, can you?
Well, that's what we were told you could. You had to identify it when you, maybe they would reject it and say you have to offer it to all. But we got the,
We,
we
yes,
were advised that we
Oh,
could.
okay.
right, you would have to opt in for certain employees and you can opt in for some and not opt in
Oh,
for others. So, and we took the approach based on the people who were interested
right.
and yeah, who were interested in, full-time employees. And that's what we did there. So, and just so you know that there's a lot of the different options and, some of them aren't even available to our town employees because they're not first responders. So there's different groups of the retired that aren't even relevant to us. So, but definitely we'll get that on the agenda for the next meeting. That's all.
Thank you.
All right, here's frozen. All right, Phyllis,
Well,
are you all set?
yes, I think so. Are we all set, Megan? Can you hear us?
I can. Thank you for your patience with the delay. For library trustees, I'll make my way downtown for our meeting. Didn't work.
I think you're all set. So we'll move on.
Okay. So Mark's online, they sent this letter, and which I gave to everybody via email, didn't I?
Yeah.
So they're just requesting that they have designated places in Chelsea for in case there's an emergency at their school.
Okay. So I know Tracy's in here too. Could either of you, Tracy or Mark, talk to this a little bit more so we can have some background and perspective about it?
Yes, I would be happy to, LeVar and Select Board. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure everybody could hear me. And thank you for having me on the agenda tonight. I want to give the Select Board a little background. The Chelsea Public School well, for as long as I've been at Chelsea, we have had an active emergency operation plan that we do share with our local first responders, the sheriff's department, the fire department, first branch ambulance, and the state police. And prior to COVID, we worked closely with the Agency of Education and Margolis Healy that was contracted by the agency. And we did an extensive review of our emergency operation plan. Working closely with Tracy Simon, the emergency management director, and the staff at the school, we have nearly completed probably a good 18-month review of that document, and it's about ready to be released to our first responders. One of the key elements, this goes in line with safety of our students on our campus, is in the event of fire or an intruder, that we need to have sites identified to be able to evacuate staff, students, and any visitors we might have. In working with Tracy, she recommended 2 sites, the town hall, in which all of you are meeting tonight, as well as a out of the village location, as the Chelsea Town Garage would be a second location. And the purpose of these locations would be to get students out of harm's way, as well as sites where first responders, in the event of an actual emergency, we would be able to reunify students and parents and have these locations in place. Tracy, I don't know if you have some additional thoughts or you wanted to share with the select board.
Did everybody understand that with the breaking in and out of? So basically what we're looking for is we need 2 locations, one here in the village for a relocation reunification center, and another one out of the village. If it's the type of emergency where the entire village will get shut down, we need to move students away from the village and we need to take it to a location where parents can access it. If the village, if it's the kind of emergency where the village is shut down, this location is not going to work. So that's why we're asking for 2 here at Town Hall and at the Highway Garage. I spoke with Rick a couple of weeks ago, and he didn't see any reason why that couldn't work on the extremely rare chance that we would have to do that.
Hearing this, and my concern is that if we're moving kids from the school out of the village and to the garage during winter, it's like, what are we doing with all that equipment? Are we moving all that in and out, or if Rick's plowing, who's going to move all this stuff to get kids into the garage?
Well,
Or parents are going to be coming and pick kids up at the garage.
I mean, it's 5 through 8 in Chelsea, right?
No, it's
No,
still.
still-
No, it's not, it's 100 about.
And so 100 kids.
Well, I think there's 2 issues here, like routinely, it could be a problem, but if there's an active shooter, I think people are willing to, depending on the situation.
Because the only reason we'd be going there is that either there was some sort of contamination,
Right.
some sort of like fire or, something like
And
that,
in that
or
case, I guess
a
that's not
shooter.
plowing.
Well, how do you get kids into that garage if you want anyone in there? Move all the
Well, they
stuff.
have got radios in their trucks, the bus radios communicate with the.
There are some offices and some different rooms that,
I have business. You have to move equipment out, because the top floor is packed with all the, I guess, residual equipment and whatnot for the.
Or you could just leave the kids on the bus, because they're gonna have to be on something. And you leave them on the bus until they, get picked out.
Has anyone considered that? You would evacuate to the bus, to the field, yeah. Or maybe the sewer plant. Well, there's a big parking lot.
Can you hear you? Mark, can you hear that?
Yes, I can. I guess what I would say is when you're dealing with elementary children, middle school students, that depending on the emergency situation, students and staff could be traumatized. And to leave them on a bus may not be the most ideal. I think we need to consider a location that at least has a shelter so that we could be able to reunify students with their families.
Yeah,
Did you consider any other facilities? Is there anything
Well,
else besides the garage?
if somebody can come up with some other place, that's the trouble. We're very limited in space that's not immediately contiguous with the school here in the village.
If I could just interject something, I know we had the certain amount of time we just out in public, and every teacher gets involved. I mean, so these kids are all very well supervised. Every one of their teachers got to bring their list out and evacuate school and all this stuff. Staying on the bus is an absolute no. I mean, it just would not work. I can tell you, one has to be the whole bus. We need to get them out, make sure they're okay, and like you said, some of these kids are traumatized, and you've got instructors there that can take them to a little bit different section of the building or something. I would assume if you've got a fire or an active shooter, that first grade would probably be down there helping set that.
You could go to location if the garage was okay.
The word, it was built it, and you know, to be truthful, I think that was actually mentioned when the garage was built, and people were talking about the size, they talked about what an excellent place to evacuate. So I think that back when it was being discussed and built, it was seen as a definite possibility.
I think it's just seasonally, it's kind of
Right, and
logistics.
logistics
And
wise.
and like I said, that's my concern, because, man, if we've got roof out, and then we've got equipment in there, I mean, and we have an event where the kids need to get down there quickly enough, I mean, how are we gonna be able to get people back over there to move out all the
There
stuff?
has to be a plan in place for sure.
Immediately.
At any point, the fire department and first branch ambulance have frequency for a road crew.
They do.
So it's in all of our radios. So if something happens, Linda can contact Rick, doesn't matter where he is. And at any point, he's no more than 15 to 20 minutes away from the garage, even in heavy snow. So I don't see any reason why he couldn't, you know, or any one of his guys be close enough at any one point to be able to get back there. And they could, I mean, being on the bus for 15 to 20 minutes, I don't think is an issue. Well, equipment's being on the bus for 4 to 5 hours, that's when things become unpleasant.
Yeah.
So you all would envision an event that required the kids on the bus for 4 to 5, 6 hours or so? I mean, or not in a bus, but in the town hall.
Or even
There's no way to know.
in the middle of the day.
The roads are cut off or something.
In the middle of the day, when we have just a regular early dismissal, back me up there, Mark. And we have to call parents to say, hey, we're calling school early. It takes some parents several hours to get back to town because they work out of town. So not everybody's living in town and is instantly going to just drop everything and be at the reunification site in 5 minutes. That's not going to happen.
But and then we're gonna have traffic come in and out. So as long as, if it's feasible and everybody knows that the fire and ambulance are gonna be able to talk with road crew, and road crew is gonna be able to get to, or someone is able to get the equipment out, or someone's gonna be able to staff the place, then, if those coordinative activities are set up at the beginning, I wouldn't have a reservation, but as long, that's, from my perspective, that has to be.
Well, there needs to be a site-specific plan, which we haven't written because frankly, I'm quite busy with some other things for the town right now, and writing a plan that potentially would maybe not be used. I'm not going down that road. So basically, if you grant the MOU, then we'll sit down and write, and there'll be site-specific plans, because it will need to be. But doing it now without I'm too busy to write a plan that is gonna get tossed in the trash can.
As far as staffing, the teachers are going with the kids.
Right, because
What was that, Mark?
I said, as far as staffing, the teachers are going with the kids where they go.
right.
Yeah,
So-
that's correct.
I mean, they.
Yeah, the other thing to consider is that there are people on the fire department that if they can drive a fire truck, they can move the plow truck, outside and park. So
Let's just make sure.
That's part of the plan. We'll put a specific plan together.
So we got one question.
Yeah, this is my first town meeting. Is there liability issues with the small kids being around all that heavy equipment? So would there have to be some way that they have a specific place that the equipment moves out of?
I think that we're talking about a situation where it's, do we want to keep the kids in danger or remove them to the
But the
only
point
place
is,
that we have?
but the point is, there's still, I was just at the garage for several hours last week. And the point is, there's still hazards in the garage. So there's still hazards there. So if we take steps to mitigate those hazards, we don't want to evacuate kids to hazards.
That'd be part of the plan, addressing all the.
Site-specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do we need to vote on this, or?
If you all are interested in making a decision now, then we would do a motion. So I'm confident that Tracy says that there'll be a plan that covers these issues. I'm confident that there will be one, because she'll probably force the rest of us to participate in it as well. We'll be looking forward to that.
No, yes, no plan is valid until it's been tested.
Well, we need to have an official.
Well, they need us to sign an MOU before they prepare the detailed plans. So
Right.
they're really asking for us to authorize signature of an MOU.
Correct.
Which we have a draft of that.
You sent,
This is the letter.
or we haven't drafted an MOU.
We have a meeting in a week, so if you want to draft a memo, if you want to draft a memo of understanding, we can vote next week, whether or not we're gonna sign it or not, and it'd be nice, put in there that there will be a plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah. We can do that, Mary Ellen.
Okay, great.
All right, anything
Any other
else?
questions? I'm all good.
I think we're all good.
Do we have, is Kate online anywhere?
No, she's not coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
computer is actually.
Actual one. My mom's gonna leave with it.
So then who signed in under Kate's?
I made the link under Kate's account.
So this way, Mary-
So I think the link was just open. I didn't do it though.
Somebody has to let everybody in. Somebody has to let people into the meeting.
I don't know who's doing that. How'd they get in?
Well, people are coming.
Well, maybe it's open now or something. I don't know.
All right, so we'll go on.
Is that an option?
Okay, next, I'm still, so instead of the Robertsville field request, now we've got a Village Greens request, and that is from New Creation Fellowship, and I think Bill Smith is online, and it's the event date is 9/11, and it's a 20th anniversary of the 9/11 Remembrance Thing from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And he requests a signature.
All right, so as we've said, we'll approve the use of Village Greens request, provide there are no conflicts and that the requesters adhere to, whatever safety and health protocols that we have. And that's what we'll go ahead and go with that.
Okay.
All right, what else do you have, Mary Ann?
This is the Washington Electric Cooperative. They want to put that electric line up, and there's two permits, two to sign and one to give back to the person. Rick, the highway foreman checked, and he said it was okay. He's gonna check to make sure they take whatever the chips or the wood chips away.
Yeah.
And this person is anxious to get it signed. That there's a yellow one, and then there's a couple papers, and then there's a yellow one.
And Rick checked to make sure there's no conflicts in the right of way with anything he needs to do.
Right, and he also talked to the guy and said that he's gonna go and make sure that it's cleaned up, nice. The site is cleaned up nice. The area.
Do you think this needs just the chair signature or everybody's?
I don't know, what does it say? I know he's in a,
Well, three of us will just sign it, will be covered.
okay, there you go.
It does say board. Sometimes we'll say,
Sign both copies of the permit. Okay, so that's that. While you're signing that, can I go to the next thing?
All right,
The town meeting format for 2022. You don't have to decide today, but organizations who ask for money under the appropriations thing have been asking about how they're gonna do it this year, how they're gonna ask. Are they gonna do petitions? Last year, because of COVID, it was all different. This year, they wanna know what's going on. So far, I guess the policy is, the same on the Chelsea website. It's the same as previous years, and unless you make it different, unless you do the vote, the Australian ballot, which then would kick into maybe changing how they ask for money.
yeah, so the previous board had decided, given the state restrictions, that we would basically level fund everyone who made the request, and the administrative assistant checked with them to make sure they were still a legitimate functioning organization, and that's how we did it there. For all other people, we were requesting them to go through the petition process. Since we did that only for that period, the current standard is that, if you're requesting funding, you'll have to petition for that funding unless this board changes that again. So that there is.
So as of now, I'll just tell people, yeah, bring your petitions. Okay,
Correct.
thank you. The next thing is, okay, so the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, they want, so they're having this thing, they're having their annual meeting, and apparently it's a hybrid thing. And I have they've been sending things, they've been sending meeting notices. They want to designate one official from every town as a voting delegate. So does the select board want to have one of you be a voting delegate? Will you attend this? And if so, there's some other things you can vote on and there's other things to vote on if you go. And there's information about it, and it's all online.
So basically, 29 September is the hybrid annual meeting where we can go in person or go online.
Right, but
And the other meetings are additional.
extra, and you can go to workshops, whatever. They want you to designate a representative by Friday, September 17th, though, and tell them. And there's like some things to fill out.
So I guess it could.
or whoever wants to go.
You know what,
I'm working, so I gotta go.
if Jeff is gonna volunteer,
Yeah, I'll do it.
can we volunteer you?
Jeff,
Sure.
Okay, so let's do it, let's formally move to do it, just in case there's any question about
Oh, yeah, we should, so who
Yeah.
wants to do it?
Jeff.
I make a motion that I nominate Jeff Clayton to be our delegate, voting delegate for the town of Chelsea at the VLCT annual meeting on September 29th.
Okay, motions are made for Jeff to be our voting delegate at the 29th September Vermont League Cities and Town meeting by Mary Ellen. Second. All right, Mark has seconded it. Is there any further discussion? All right, none. All right, let's vote. All in favor, say aye. All right, Jeff is our voting delegate. Thank you.
Okay, so you might have to fill out some papers here.
Yep.
Okay, what's next? Oh, that's it.
All right, but you had mentioned the town meeting format for 2022. That was just in the context of the.
Right,
Okay.
it was, but I mean, when you decide that could kick in, if something changes, it could kick in
But
Karen
just-
and the elections if you do that again. I
So
don't
just,
know.
so for the benefit of everyone, in order, so the governor's orders and the state legislation that allowed us various flexibility. So we go back to what we did at first. So if we're gonna have, if we wanna change the format of town meeting, then the town has to vote on that. If we wanna do Australian ballot, then the town has to vote on that. If there's more restrictions and the legislature gives us more flexibility, then we might be able to decide that as we did last year by majority vote of the board. But that, all right, Gail, you're up. Please, thank you.
I have a cover letter that I did up.
Yep.
Sign it.
I saw that, and we gotta have more in it. I realized that, talking with, given the questions that Phyllis asked
Yeah,
and Megan asked, I went back to the paperwork. And we've gotta have a little more detail.
okay.
So I'll call you tomorrow maybe, or
Okay,
just
yeah.
as soon as we're done with this.
Yeah, that's fine.
Hopefully it's not long. But I got a solution, that
Okay,
we'll figure something out.
that's it.
Thanks, Gail. All right, so now we have, where are we next? Karen, is Karen on? Is she? All right, so this is town hall rental rates follow-up. We were asked if we could do some pro rates for use of town hall. The board is gonna have to approve that. My recommendation for us is if we're interested in allowing certain groups to use the town hall at a prorated rate, maybe half the day, end of the day, beginning of the day, whatever, that we make a motion to allow the town clerk to prorate the amount as appropriate. That way it gives her flexibility for those requests.
I would think we just have a rate schedule and have it be equal to all.
Yeah.
Half day, if you're gonna offer a half day rate, it's on a rate schedule and everybody gets half day rate. I don't really like the idea of letting one person
Well, that would be,
make decisions on the rates.
well, that
If you want
would
to
be,
do hourly or a half day or a full day, I think we could just,
then we'll have to.
yeah, I don't think we want a discretion that people won't feel like it's equitable.
Yeah.
I think we should have a published rate schedule. Okay.
Are we gonna write it, or we're gonna ask Karen?
Well, I
for
thought,
her
that's
thoughts
what
on it?
I was thinking, we could ask her for a recommendation,
Yeah.
and then we can, because I don't even know what the rates are now, do you? Are they on the website?
$60. I think it's 60.
Yeah.
It's 60 for the day.
Right, yeah, I
So
don't have
she
a
was-
problem with doing a half day rate, or even an hourly rate, so they want it for 1 hour.
So if we can say something like allow the town clerk to charge half the rate for half the day, we could do something like that, but she can't make the decision without.
Right,
We
she
have to
shouldn't be able
make,
to,
yeah, we
right?
have to make that decision. So if we want to change it so that someone can rent for half a day, we'd have to let her know that you can allow someone to do $30 for half the day.
Well, I think we should create a rate schedule that should be posted somewhere for anybody that's. I mean, I can write one up. If you want me to draft it, I'll draft it for next meeting. It'll take me like a minute.
I don't think she wants all that.
Well, I'm talking about a rate schedule.
60.
Town hall rental,
$60, $30.
1 day, half day, 1 hour,
No, not even 1 hour.
whatever. We
Yeah,
can-
60, 30.
Yeah.
All right, Mary Ellen's volunteer.
Yeah, I'll do one, I'll draft one up for.
60, 30.
Yep. I was thinking 40, because you don't always get half, you know.
I'll go.
Somebody's gonna go down there and unlock it.
I'll go with what you recommend. All right, so that's where we are, so we got a little bit more on that. Let's see, we already took care of the library, AT&T request. Jeff, you were with the folks up there today, so what's that you covered this?
So they want to use the road that I was saying, so the most likely road that you're asking, it's not the road that goes through the cemetery, but the easement that goes to the property where there's a cabin, on the other side of the cemetery. There's still some uncertainty as to who owns that little piece of property that has the road on it. We're thinking that it's most likely Bobby Buttons, and therefore we don't really have, we're not gonna have a lot to worry about that. Otherwise, we'll just have to approve the use of the road for access.
So we would have to improve
They're gonna improve it, they'll plow it, it's not a town road, so all we're doing is say, I mean, assuming it's Bobby's land, we're gonna be saying they can cross, you know, less than 10 yards of road. And as long, you know, and if they do any damage, they just have to repair.
So the class 3 road ends at the creamery before you get to the cemetery, and then it's a town road that's within the cemetery from here up. There's a little section of road that's beyond the class 3 town highway that they'll need to use. So that's really what they're asking the town. And Rick was at the sidewalk with us.
And Rick is-
Right, but so that's really the request. It's a town, it's not a class 3 road, it's not a class 3 public road, it's a private town road, really. It's a cemetery road. And Frank's on the cemetery, you know, commission. So he was at the site visit as well, but we think that's the ask. And the only other thing we discussed was, personally, you know, the board didn't say this because it's not a meeting, but we would like some kind of a legal opinion or survey done, just so we know that that town is where that property line is. I mean, if they have a lot of lawyers involved anyway, it'd probably be pretty simple for them to either do a survey, or if they have enough information, just render a legal opinion as whether that's the town's property or Bobby's property. That would.
They've already
town-
gone through the titles,
Right.
so at this
They
point,
have.
they're probably gonna need to get a survey in order to determine where the actual
Right.
lines are, right?
Well, we have the title work.
Yeah, the title work.
Yeah, and, you know, I don't know that we need to do a survey. Again, you know, the small portion we're talking about is, you know, right at, you know, at the end of Creamery Road until you get to the start of the road on Mr. Button's property.
I think more important than that, I think also the road that goes out through there, you need to do something there so you know exactly who owns it, not just a little.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah, because that's what we want to know. Bobby's pretty sure this is, but we're not totally certain. That's really just some confirmation. You know, I don't think I mean, we probably don't need a surveyor, someone can look at it and try to plot it out where the actual property line is from the deeds.
From the title.
Did the town already vote to confirm that that's the location? Because the last time I was tracking the discussion, there were other alternative sites. But is that been resolved, and that is the ideal place for that trailer now?
This is the first step. They have to secure access before they can even do the planning for that site. So this is like, am I wrong? This is like the first stage.
Right, and
Because I was wondering why I think to say our land, which is a town wants to consider, and we're on the avenue, and we have. I didn't want to explain that.
But I think that we run into the same problem as the, across the road, people are not happy with seeing the town and with the sheriff's office as well.
But we also have to remember, it's like, we're not proposing the face.
Oh, right.
So.
AT&T is.
They're proposing.
You know,
Right.
I have a concern that I noticed tonight right away, just being quiet and listening. You folks walked out through and you got to the spot where Bobby wanted it. You kept going. You got to the spot where you wanted it. And you said, oh, no, that was, I can see it from my gap. Well, wait a minute. He can see it from his deck. So he doesn't want to see it, but it's okay if everybody else does. I just have a concern there. You haven't really established where it's going to be.
We're in the process of establishing where it's gonna be, and, we had our architect out there, and he marked the, entrance, the tree where you go into.
But Bobby doesn't want it there.
Right, Bobby wants it a little bit closer, which we will evaluate, and that was news to us today. I don't think the visibility of the structure changes significantly, other than for Bobby. Again, we've got the whole backdrop of the ridge there, and so, anyone looking forward, it's really gonna blend in.
I just have to say that, and maybe I'm out to lunch, but I just have a problem with, why would you put a tower in a valley? All the towers I see are on top of a hill.
So, this location has been, we have proposed and pursued multiple locations in Chelsea. In fact, this is candidate Z on the list of places that we've evaluated to bring, improve the coverage in downtown and on Route 110. This particular location, whether it's where the stake was, or if we have to shift it a little bit to accommodate what Bobby's request is, it is not going to be very visible. It is not going to be visible from the Twin Greens. And so, this is a really good location.
But in my opinion, it's also not going to be very effective in the valley.
Well,
Yeah, he admitted tonight that it would take care of the town and a little bit south. It's not going to go this way.
This site will provides very comparable coverage to the other locations that we have proposed, even higher up on the ridge. And so, it is going to be effective for 110 and downtown. And that's really what this site is about.
The problem, Frank, is when you put it on a ridge line, everybody sees it and nobody wants it in their backyard.
But you know what? Right now, we're talking about Bobby don't want it in his backyard. He wants it moved. We're already there. So
Everybody wants their cell phone to work.
Yeah,
So let's,
But it is Bobby's property.
would you consider listening to Lucy Mize about her proposal, or are you not interested at all?
I don't know what that is.
Well, she's here.
I just talking to Frank and reading the history of, I said our land would be available if it was accepted. And I know there are issues with the road, but our land goes west up the ridge, and there is a road along one side. So it's just if it works better for the town to address the issues of accessibility.
Well,
Mr. Chair, this is Will Dodge. If I can just chime in on that. We did actually investigate that site with Agency of Natural Resources, and they were pretty clear that it was a non-starter.
I don't think you did that site, Will. I think you did the one up near the senior housing.
No, we did this other site as well. We looked at it and we knew it was going to require some work on the access road. And the Agency of Natural Resources said it's a habitat block and we don't want you in there if you unless you've exhausted all other resources.
all right, so I just want to remind everyone that this is just a request for access to a road. So any other discussions, feel free to be in touch with the AT&T folks. All right, so
what do you need from us at this point? you don't have a memo of understanding for signature or anything like that. So what action are you looking for us to take?
Well, first it was like this earlier
Yeah.
today, so that we were all engaged on the road. And then, you know, that portion of the road, and you know, is it an active road? Or is it, you know, been discontinued use? So, really, the town to give us some opinion on that.
Well, the town's road is active. You know, that right of way, I wouldn't call a road, I would call that a draw access to a property. So,
Yeah, so it's just a very
Yeah.
small portion.
so the town's road is active. And a majority of it's class 3, and a small section is town-owned road. The accesses are cemetery, which I would say is somewhat controlled by the cemetery. It's not open year round, and frankly, you put a sign up when you're not allowed to use that road, so. There's a little section in between the start of the cemetery is what we were talking about. I think it's definitely a town-owned road. And Rick had no issues, so.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, I mean, so for us, the process is, you know, to, you know, design the site and you know, start the permitting process with an advance notice under 248A.
Who is,
So that, one second, Frank. So that would trigger the whole public meetings, the process that we went through previously. Thank you.
who is going to meet with the people that I understand are buying the place at the end of that road? You're gonna bring that into the conversation somehow?
Well, I don't know what that, because theoretically, if Bobby owns the property, they would go to Bobby to get the right of way, the access, so.
It was this property. Yeah.
But it's a shared, it would be a shared driveway theoretically. So a lot of times,
It depends on if there's an easement or.
shared driveways, a lot of times they have maintenance agreements and they file with town clerks and things. Well, I don't know who would mandate that. We wouldn't, we don't own the property. Maybe through your process, maybe probably through their permitting process, that would all be addressed. They would be in the butter, so they would have notice. Because I would almost think as an outcome of this whole process, they'd have to do a shared maintenance agreement of some sort, I would think, but.
Yeah, and again, you know,
I think that would go
you
through
know,
that
at
permit,
one,
though. I think that, right.
you know, minimal work would need to be done to bring the site, you know, to build the site, to bring the tower components in. But after that, I mean, you know, our you know, AT&T's usage of that road is very minimal.
Do you know what the cost is to the town, and do you know if there's a tax benefit to the town?
For the AT&T site, you know, the town, I mean, I don't know what the town's position is on taxing, but.
All right, so we're gonna move on from this. So if, once they iron out the access stuff, they'll make everything public like they did previously. And we'll make sure that, you know, there's some public input, because that's what the law requires. So Frank, those are the questions that people ask when the AT&T folks propose all the other sites.
I just felt like the last one up here on the hill, very, very little thing, nothing happened, and all of a sudden it was a mute point, and we never knew why. So I just don't want that to happen again, that's all. I want the public to be involved. I think we should be.
Yeah, just, you know, they.
Because we can't determine we can't propose a site for AT&T. I mean, we can't say this is where your site, but I don't think that's what we're gonna.
Not unless it's on town property.
Correct.
You know, not unless the property.
I mean, the town plays a role in the 248A process.
Right, are we what's the word? We are automatically party to the.
Absolutely,
application.
right, and so you get the advance
Right.
notice.
Yeah.
And, you know, can request them to come back and, you know, do a presentation on the details of that.
So once we see the application, we'll comment on that.
Yeah.
You know, as a select board.
And truthfully, just in part because Beth was away during a lot of the time that this happened, we were communicating very regularly with the planning commission, but bearing in mind that we were all locked in under COVID, there was probably gaps in communication. So we'll do a better job on the next round in communicating with you folks in addition to the planning commission, if that, at least that's what it sounds like you'd like.
Yeah, and the multi-hour telecoms and Zoom meetings were, and the feedback went out, just whatever to make it more accessible to the public, and it's what was done in the past, and
Well, even little updates at these meetings will just get it broaden the audience, We don't necessarily have to do it, just, little updates.
Aye.
all right.
I'll leave it unless there's any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming to the site visit, that was very helpful.
And we have positions open on the planning commission, we have someone that might volunteer.
Look to see if it says stupid on my forehead.
All right, so we'll move on to. So we have ATV committee, Miriam, Mark, you all are up.
Okay, so, we requested, interest, people to let us know if they're interested in being part of the committee, and Marianne, received some emails, which she hasn't yet shared with us, so she's gonna do that now. I'll add that I got one phone call from John Alexander, because we had said, did you get any phone calls?
No one.
Okay, so we have 4 emailed in their interest, and then the one phone call.
This is the order that they were received in, and there's all the letters that were printed out right there.
Okay, and, as a board, we did talk about trying to balance, in favor of, and, the opinions of the committee members. How do you guys want to do this? We want to read them?
I'll leave it to you and Mark. I'll pass it on to you.
Well, some are longer than others. Can you read this one?
Give Mark the 3 pager.
You can just summarize, read yourself and summarize it.
Who are the names?
Want to do the names first? Brad Perrin, Heidi Chapman, Tracy Penfield, Jen Chase, Linda Cuban, and Lila LaRosa, and John Alexander. So we have 7 people interested. We had said 4 to 6.
Oh, there's only 7. We're gonna cut one off.
I don't know, we want to balance it, that's all. So if we can kind of, I'm not sure we can do that based on what people give us for information.
Simply yes, no.
I'm interested in being part of the ATV ordinance committee.
Sounds like a police.
Okay, so who's that one?
This is opposition.
Rosa.
Okay, and then we got one from Jen Chase that just says, I'm interested in being part of the ATV ordinance committee. Linda Cuban, she can speak if she wants to, but I'll be, depending on the night, she's interested. She fully understands why people in town have concerns. She also has some, but she thinks that we come up with a plan that can address everybody's concerns. Tracy Penfield, she'd like to volunteer. Not sure what qualifications we're seeking. She's lived in Chelsea for 31 years. She's a founder at Safe Art. She's no longer at Safe Art. Feel free to ask me more. I can't also. Hey, Chapman, I would really like to be on the committee. She's made it clear she's opposed. Greg Farron, he's here too, if you would like to say more, but everybody has her in his email. Following a conversation with LeVar last week, thank you, in discussion with my wife, I decided that I will volunteer for the committee, consider an ATV ordinance. Please let me know if you need any information. Based on what I've heard Greg say, I think he's opposed as well. Oh, he has more information. Oh, that's a different email. Randall and Susan Manning.
Oh, that wasn't, they didn't, that was another letter. They didn't want to be.
Oh, they're not.
These are just, they didn't say they wanted to be on the, there's
Okay.
other letters that have been received about the topic.
Okay.
I just stuck them in there.
Okay, so. Opposed, who knows? I don't know. Opposed, John's for, okay, so, I think we clearly have, we didn't really ask for any qualifications. So, the only criteria we kind of established was you own in town and you pay taxes. And then we were trying to balance the sentiment a little bit as to who's in favor or opposed. I think the only 2 that clearly have some I don't know if I want to say in favor of, but we'd like to consider John Alexandra and Linda. So we have two. I don't know about Tracy and Jen, it wasn't clear.
It kind of makes one.
So what do you want to, what do you guys want to do? How do you want to handle
I have
this?
a question. So we didn't, I don't think we said owning, but just reside in town or own. Right?
Both. We said you either, yes,
Reside, okay.
or own something.
Own something,
But
yeah.
somebody asked on Facebook, and then somebody said our minutes didn't say that, but I didn't actually revise the minutes, but I clearly remember that conversation. We decided it was one or the other. You either pay taxes here or live here. Because some people, everyone doesn't pay taxes even if they live here, so. That was the criteria. I don't know who Jen Chase is. Do we know? I don't know who that is. That's when she lives in town, for address or anything?
I don't know.
Just an email. No, I don't know. I suppose you should have asked their address since they're supposed to live here.
Doesn't sound familiar.
Doesn't sound
Well,
familiar.
if you Google it, the little rules will come up. So, but they might not be, this one might not be registered. So I'll see that.
I mean, I'm inclined to just let everybody that's interested be included. Some people may not be able to make some of the meetings, but I mean, if people actually are interested, I would hate to really turn anybody away. And honestly, it's advisory, it's gonna be voted on by the select board. I'm not sure the balance. It's important to have both perspectives, but I don't think there's not gonna be critical votes where
We-
a
we-
tie has to be broken or anything like
We
that.
have people who are volunteering to do
Yes,
town work,
so
I'm not gonna.
Jen Chase is Jamie Lyons.
Who?
No, her name's Kyla or Kayla.
Kayla, okay.
Something, it's not Jen, Kayla, or something. Does it, I mean, we can confirm that once we tell them the committee, I think, I mean, I'm not too worried about that part anyway, I mean, I don't. But I don't know if,
Maybe they'll want to be fence viewers too. Where's it?
so unless anybody's opposed, I don't think we necessarily can vote, or we can, do we need to vote on the members of the committee? Probably should.
Yeah, we could. So do we have a motion that would name those names? You can do it.
Any other discussion? Is anybody opposed to the policy of letting everybody that wants to be included? Okay.
All right.
Right, I make a motion that we establish our ATV, I'm gonna call it ATV Advisory Committee, tonight as Mark Whitney and Marilyn Perkman as select board members, and in addition to the two of us, Greg Herring, Heidi Chapman, Tracy Penfield, Jen Chase, Linda Cuban, Lila Rosa, and John Alexander.
All right, so motions are made to establish an ATV advisory committee made up of Mary Ellen and Mark as the select board members, and members also Greg Herron, Heidi Chapman, Tracy Penfield, Jen Chase, Linda Cuban, Leila Rosa, and John Alexander. Is there a second?
That's it.
Want to go on that? You want to
So motion's been made by Mary Ellen, seconded by Jeff. Is there any further discussion? All right, let's vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye. All right, that motion to establish that committee consisting of those named people and led by Mary Ellen and Mark have passed.
And the second part of what we were going to talk about was the charge of the committee. I would like to see the committee create a draft ordinance for the select board's consideration, revision, and voting on. I found VLCT has a model ATV ordinance in the guidance document. VLCT is probably the cities and towns and the municipalities, so I would propose that the committee start with this as a starting point, and basically at each committee meeting, we go through the sections, titles, categories, whatever. They don't have a local restrictions. Okay, this is the guidance, but the draft ordinance, the sections, and each committee meeting will be going through a section and actually drafting it. That's how I would like to run the committee. Like section 1 is authority, purpose, definitions. I mean, I think the controversial ones are restrictions and which roads. Those are the two. Some of the others are pretty standard. But you know, one of the sections would be restrictions, so the ages, hours, days, all that kind of stuff. This is what I envision anyway, and then the other kind of one that with lots of debate would be where would it be appropriate to provide them, which I think is what most people are interested in, but also the hours of things. So that's how I would like to, America and I will run the meetings, and we'll have a set meeting, we'll start with this. Not that we can't vary from this, we can all do research and bring in other ordinances, but we start from the guidance that the LCC has laid out, just because it's a model that's been created for municipalities for this very purpose, so.
So Mary, all the meetings will be warned and people can.
I think they're gonna be, well,
Yeah,
they're gonna be public meetings, so we'll have to manage that, which I want people to participate, but I don't want it to be.
And
But it's clear this is what we're gonna do with this meeting. So like, don't come in with like the first meeting, you know, which topic we're gonna cover at each meeting, so that we're not revisiting everything at every meeting, because then we won't get anywhere if we do that.
And they won't be select board meetings.
Right.
So
Committees.
it'll be the committee.
But people can zoom in and listen.
Yeah, we could Zoom, I mean, we should Zoom probably, I mean, if we have them here, we can figure it out. I just wanna make them open to the public, so I don't want to be big, you know, I don't want anything, I want people to be able to, you know, listen, at least or contribute.
So I have a couple of, a clarification and a couple of suggestions. So in previous meetings, but then also looking at some of the notes, it's unclear as to whether or not it was already sort of a presupposition that there would be an ordinance. And in the last meeting, I thought it was pretty clear that it was up to this committee to make a recommendation. But that recommendation might actually be that there not be ordinance, or the recommendation might be, this is the ordinance with different.
That's my understanding.
So I think a fair first step would actually be to say, let's make sure we get everything out of the table in terms of what are the reasons that people want it, what are the reasons that people are concerned about it, and make sure we have those things kind of identified and discussed before we try to put word in our
Right.
to make sure we just level set on that, to make sure we're all in this process.
Well, I say, well, yeah, I see your point, I was sort of thinking that through the process, we're going to come through it, so that's to be clear that, you know, if we can't come up with a single word in any way that's appropriate, then the ordinance is dead. You know, the one thing with this committee, is you want to take the power from the select board. So even if this committee drafts an ordinance, the select board, the 5 people vote, might go down. I mean, I actually don't know what they put in the committee, I mean, of the select board, but, even if an ordinance is written, you know, the select board still has to vote on that ordinance, even take the next step to propose the process. And then the advisory, the select board would be advisory draft ordinance.
And then we would, so.
But I think that's a fair, that would be the first meeting, I think that's a fair.
Yeah, my concern, right, so I'm starting with sort of a guess at stage, but I'm not sure I even know what the reasons pro are.
Right.
I haven't heard enough to really understand what it is people are trying to do, what the benefit is for them, for the town, or whatever. So I kind of want to make sure before everybody gets entrenched in their, you know, positions or whatever, I just want to make sure we get the reasons for doing it on the table, get the concerns out on the table. And then when we go through, we can make sure that it's clear, hey, this actually meets that objective, or it doesn't, but at least it's transparent that it doesn't, and then it's a little more clear what people are.
And hopefully it'll bring a greater understanding because on sides they don't have some generosity.
Exactly.
Having a map would be very helpful. I still am not sure which roads are being requested.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally would like to.
Oh, yeah.
I personally would go out on these roads. And so I kind of.
Linda, what was asked for by the Berkshire Fairleigh Club was everything south of 113 and east of 110. So that's a quadrant of town is what they were asked. So all the class 3, 4 roads to be accessible.
And what are they accessible to?
Well, that's what we don't know.
The West Shire ATV Club trails. There's actually trails in Washington, Williamstown.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, all Washington, for instance, can't convert. Not,
So this is why I'm saying I'm asking that, and then what their intent is.
Right.
Because I've spoken to all the ATV these groups around, and there's no one to connect with them. So I need to see.
Well, that's what I said to Mary Ellen. So what do they want to do, is bop around our roads, or does it actually connect to something, or what? That's what I'm thinking.
So there is a map, and my sure was, I don't have a copy with me right here. But and there's also a listing of roads proposed, that Doug Stone and some others had brought early on a while back. So, that information is definitely public. We'll make sure we can.
So did that map show it connecting to anything?
Well, that would, so that would be.
Two different maps, really.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't get it.
So this would kind of do, so I'm not even saying it's a starting point, I'm not even sure from our previous meetings, is that one of the intents, is to connect the other systems? Or is that not one of the intents?
I thought that was one of the
So,
intents.
if
It is, you're talking a lot more.
Well, that's just it, if that's one of the objectives, then that
Well,
potentially changes the discussion around.
Well, you know, I think that the request by that club opens the door to create ordinance, but my perspective is that once an ordinance created, you really gotta consider, maybe not those are appropriate, but there's also people that want to go up Eaton Hill and take moon signs, trails. I think if there's a group of town that wants to recreate and having a TV club and riding ATVs, then it's appropriate for us to find a place for them to ride. Maybe it's not a civil appropriate road. When we got to that meeting, I mean, I had two horses on Capitol Hill Road yesterday, paved road. Right, but I'm saying that there's like, this is great, there is a bunch of different, this all stems from one request, but I think there's a lot of different emotions and feelings about what we should be doing. Because
So
when
we-
ours talk to like the whole town.
Yeah, we'll all add to that. I mean, there's a lot of people who are opposed to it. So I went and rode and took all the kids with me in many cases, walked up and down a lot of those roads that were proposed, we parked the car there and waited for hours to see if there's any ATVs on there already. And I made sure that I talked with as many people who might be for it or agnostic to that. But I think these are all things we can iron out in that committee. Mary Ellen and Mark are gonna lead that. So I guess, since we have those names, we can move on from that right now.
Right, I think we'll establish the first committee meeting, at that committee meeting, we'll talk about how we're gonna, the process.
All right, thank you. All right, next thing is, so we have this, and I have the miss back there, should be COV 2. But we have the SARS coronavirus information update, mask recommendations. Someone asked about mask mandates and if we were able to do mask mandates. I've talked with the state a number of times. Last would have been the night before last. But the state is not going to support any town mask mandates. There are some towns who instituted mask mandates, and the state has asked them to withdraw it. And so that the state's not going to support any of those.
You mean townwide? Like
So
the Red Line, like in New Hampshire?
correct. So I've asked about two. One was townwide, they said no. The other issue is like town buildings, town offices, and the feedback there was no as well. And I figured, well, if we had a health officer regulating a specific facility, and the problem there is that the health officer making a mask requirement would have to be approved by the commissioner, which is not gonna happen. So unless something changes, that's the feedback that I've got from the state. We can, the other thing is the state is asking people, if your kids can't get vaccinated, if you're in a high risk or a group requiring additional attention or whatever, if you want to have extra protection. And the other thing is, if you're not vaccinated, they're asking you to, the state is asking or requesting people to wear masks, so we can't demand anyone do it. So that's.
Word from the health officer is that if, say, parents would feel more comfortable requiring people to wear masks, that we should support that.
Yeah.
And because she's.
Well, those other towns are presently.
Becker's requiring masks right now, town offices as of last Wednesday, I had in there.
Yeah, if someone puts up a bus. then-
So what we can do is You know, Kieran,
You can post a notice on the door asking people to wear a mask, but you cannot at this point force them.
Right.
so I can do a follow-up in another week or so, just maybe another couple of weeks to see if anything's changed. I can do that. I've been in touch with the state people throughout the whole thing.
Additionally, I think we should probably buy some masks.
All right.
That, I mean.
Oh,
'cause-
you got $5 for packs at 50 right now?
Yeah, because I don't care what anyone says, there's going to be another lockdown, and I think it's gonna happen before Columbus Day. And we should buy them now before they're $50 for 5. Rather than 5 for 50.
Which is what we ended up using.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. I spent the last 18 months working on the COVID-19 task force at the federal level. So I read and read the data all the time. So your suggestion to review it in 2 weeks, I think is good. Because the governor and the state are data driven and they have made changes. And right now, the trend is going in the wrong way in the state in terms of cases. I also think your point, to be prepared, the market can't stand it. If there is another lockdown, prices are going to go sky high. So getting masks, getting gloves now is a really good thing to do. And to get N95 for some of our doctors is also a critical thing.
Okay,
And
thank you.
we just want to make sure that it's presented to the well-being of the town. We all know it's gotten really political. But I think all your suggestions, keep checking our data and be prepared are really good.
And I think the select board itself could say, you have to wear a mask, that's select board meeting. I think what the state says is, you can't mandate the whole town has to go by the rules. They said, but you need to support stores or other businesses that do want to enforce.
Yeah, then, you know,
Well, I think
there's still discussion about that, but we'll keep it priced.
we've pretty much the whole time said, we do what the state, if the state says this is what's happening, this is what we're doing.
Follow the state guidelines.
And we just follow the state guidelines. It's easier that way, you know, if we're not going rogue and.
Doesn't
doing it
confuse
one
people.
direction or the other and having people upset. We just go with the state guidelines and stick with that. If someone wants to be more careful, that's fine.
I agree.
Can I just get your name?
Lucy Miles?
Thank you.
All right, so we're all set with that. Any other additional questions, comments? All right, so the next issue, here, question on adjacent landowner veto of Village Greens on all requests. I received feedback from a number of people in town who have been watching the YouTubes and the Zoom meetings of the, you know, when we had the ATV discussion. They were concerned that the select board is gonna allow landowners to veto use of public roads or use of public property. And I just wanted to bring that up and just say, I'm pretty sure that the board is not trying to say, well, landowners get to veto use of all public property because they don't like something being used on it. So I was just asked to bring that issue up, and that's,
You're afraid of what?
yeah, well, the message that was sent to me was that everyone's yelling at the select board about the use of public roads. So the select board is just gonna allow certain people to determine who can be on certain roads. And I said, I am pretty sure that's not what we're doing. We have a process in place. We have a committee, we're gonna have a discussion about it, and that's how we're gonna get to our conclusion.
Are they talking about the ATVs?
Correct, because some people were wondering, well, if you guys let certain people who are opposed to ATVs, then what about people who don't want my arts or whatever it is in the green? Well, can I not have it on the green because other people don't want it there? And
I would suggest that the person that you're talking to come to a select board meeting.
yeah,
And people have made comments that, you know, they're worried that, you know, I'll summarize it, that we're becoming a homeowners association. Everybody who has an individual problem with something is coming to us, looking for us to change everything in order to appease them for their specific problem. And I know, like, I think that we need to kind of maybe as a board say, you know, we gotta follow the statutes, we're not gonna change the statute for one individual issue, sometimes neighbors need to talk and work things out. And, I mean, it's become a weekly, if not monthly occurrence where someone thinks that because of whatever they're, you know, what they think of themselves, they deserve something to happen and for us to
Against the
enforce
neighbor,
it against their neighbor, and we're not here for that. And also, I want to put out there, that we're not here to publicly shame people. So like, if you have a problem with someone coming to the select board, it's not a great place to say, well, they're doing this and this, and basically try to use that as a forum to kind of get what you want to shame people. I've seen
More of that.
All right, so do we have any other questions regarding that? All right, so do we have a motion?
Oh, there is one more thing that I guess I forgot. It's just a heads up, there's an October 1st deadline of, we could apply for some grants from the the trash people. CV.
Yes, that's, we want, I was gonna ask you if you wanted to work on that, but.
Okay, I think it's for like the thing that, like the batteries
It's
and
for the
that.
compact. Well, we were gonna apply
Okay.
for a grant for the compactor. We probably won't get it because we're gonna spend the money before they award it, but I figured if it's pretty simple to fill out the application, we might as well.
Okay,
But
for compacting, okay, we can do that. And can I just say something about the compactor? The guy, it shouldn't happen. I mean, the guy, I went to the Bernie guy.
yeah,
so you know.
when did he see for time frame?
He said it's gonna be done before the 15th. He said he was gonna call and then I'm gonna call Snook and tell him to get ready.
Thank you.
And
Of course.
then it's gonna go.
Perfect.
And you can put gates in,
Yep.
all of it's gonna be,
Yeah, he's gonna do the gates because
yeah, always that.
there's no contractors available right now. That's a very important safety issue.
Materials too.
Yeah.
They're difficult, so.
And it's just, if he's ready to do it, you know, so, you know, he's talked to Snook about the size of our previous vehicles or the size of the gates or something.
All
They
right.
are the orders. There you go.
So do we have a motion to approve orders?
So moved.
All right, Mark has moved to approve orders. Is there a second?
That's it.
All right, Jeff has seconded. Is there any further discussion? All right, so we have the numbers, Mary Ann.
Yeah, do I need to,
You don't need to,
Say
as long as
those?
we can put them in the minutes. We'll do that.
yeah, we'll put them in the minutes. They're here somewhere.
Objection.
We'll look at them and see. Sign them.
All right, so you all ready to
Yeah.
vote? All right, let's vote. All in favor, say aye. All right.
Aye.
All right, orders are approved. All right, so we'll sign these. Do we have any further business?
No, this is just for Jeff to sign if he's gonna be the designee.
All right, if there's no further business, we are adjourned at 20:52.
Oh, we could confirm the next meeting,
The next meeting will be
In
on
7
calendar.
days.
September 7th.
Is that the next week?
Yeah, 1 week from today.
Okay.
We did say.